Hey everyone, this is BossTL again, and I'm back with another video. Actually, it is another bike comparison, but this time around, it is something close to the heart of newbies and small bike riders. Today, I am comparing two of the crowd favorites in their segments, the Yamaha MT15 and the KTM Duke 200. So yeah, andito tayo para tingnan kung ano nga ba mas maganda sa dalawang motor na ito. We are hoping by the end of this video, you should already have an idea which bike suits you best. But before anything else, a little backstory.
You know, here in the Philippines, owning a big bike is one of the usual dreams of riders of small displacement motorcycles. Somehow, owning such bikes comes with some level of bragging rights. Alam mo yun, prized possession ika nga. However, with the prices of motorcycles oftentimes beyond the reach of normal folks, owning a bike that closely resembles a big bike at a more affordable price point becomes one spectacular option. They are not really what you can call big bikes, but they do provide that big bike feels. They are in fact the mini versions of their big bike counterparts, so in a way they provide the closest alternative to having a big bike. And in this segment, you have two bikes that top the list: the KTM Duke 200 and the Yamaha MT15. Both bikes are the entry-level motorcycles of their respective brands' lineup of premium bikes. Again, premium bikes. That alone differentiates them from the 150 or 200cc bikes out there. They are classified as naked sports bike and are actually the mini versions of their bigger brothers from the same bike lineup, the Duke and the MT series of KTM and Yamaha respectively. Because both bikes share the same genes as those of their big bike counterparts, yet with a more manageable size and friendlier gas consumption, they are normally being chosen as best options for everyday commuter bikes, which serves as weekend leisure rides as well. Someone who wants a very good looking bike that can be ridden on a daily basis, but taken out in a fun event when the weekend comes. You might probably wonder why we didn't include the Suzuki GSX S150 or the Honda CB150R, both released here in the Philippines. Well, from a price point perspective, they are not as premium as the other two aforementioned bikes. And besides, somehow they lack that appeal that commands that big bike feel exuded by both Duke and MT bikes. So we leave them out in this discussion.
I won't discuss the specs anymore as I have covered them in my previous videos for both bikes. Instead, I'll discuss mainly how the bike performs in the real world and what my impressions are for both bikes. And with that, let's start with our review.
First, let's talk about the most important aspect of both bikes, the looks. As I have mentioned in my previous video, for many interested in this class of motorcycles, performance specs may not be the main deciding factor. Looks alone would sell the bike as it is. While bike appeal are subjective, one cannot deny that both bikes do exude strong road presence, both with their aggressive design and eye-catching and bold combinations as well. On one hand, coming to the MT15, it sets a very bold front impression upon its arrival and looks something out of the Transformer movie. Medyo kakaiba talaga eh. It is very futuristic and uncompromising, one that would instantly appeal or otherwise turn off potential buyers. On the design front, the MT15 draws inspiration from its bigger brother, the MT09, meaning it flaunts a twin LED headlamp unit with monofocus projector LED that gives it a mean and alienish look. The tall and lean stance coupled with an extrovert and mean looking design gives the MT15 a tremendous road presence. Mukhang big bike talaga. On the other hand, the Duke's minimalist styling that continues with the same aggressive Street Fighter styling inspired by the bigger 1290 Super Duke R with all the angles and sharp edges. With the aesthetic overhaul in the second generation Duke, the new model shows off more with a fully exposed dual-tone treadless frame at the end with its rear section exposed to the viewers. The overall expressions are sharp and one would notice the superbike-inspired tail section of the motorcycle. In essence, except for the headlights, one would mistake the Duke 200 as that of a Duke 390 to an untrained eye. Both bike employs the use of eye-catching color combinations, with the Duke sticking to its flashy orange, white, and black combinations, while the MT15 experimenting on more color combinations from neon greens, yellows, reds, blues, and even gray tones. That being said, the MT15 impresses more with more choices of color options as compared to only two color variants of the Duke 200. On the overall big bike look, admittedly, both bikes can generally pass off as mini versions of their bigger counterparts, albeit a bit smaller in dimensions. However, the MT15 would give away its advantage with visibly smaller engine size and narrower tire size than that of the Duke 200, where the engine has almost the same appearance as that of the Duke 390 and with the tire size a tad bigger than that of the MT15. In fact, some errant Duke 200 users were able to pass off their Duke 200 as a Duke 390 and drive off in the expressways. Something I really haven't heard of from any MT15 users being able to do the same. So from an appearance perspective, while both bikes would give you that big bike feels, the Duke 200 may very well be the closest to the big bike look. Okay, in terms of features, both Duke 200 and MT15 are very well equipped for their own respective categories. However, each bike has their own advantages over the other. For example, starting with suspension, the Duke 200 gets 43mm upside-down WP suspension forks at the front, which is a step ahead of its competition. Next up are the brakes, with the Duke getting a 300mm disc up front and a 230mm disc at the back, bigger than that of the MT15s. Add the fact that the Duke 200 has a dual-channel ABS for safety, which is something that is wanting in the MT15 released here in the Philippines. However, the MT15 on the other hand boasts of a slipper and assist clutch for better and smoother gear shifts, which the Duke 200 disappointingly lacks. All these features affect the bike's rideability, which we'll discuss later on. And also, unlike the Duke, the MT15 gets an LED projector headlamp but misses out on LED indicators, which is quite disappointing as the bike gets halogen-based units which ruin the futuristic appeal. Well, this is a complete opposite of the Duke 200, where everything but the headlights are LEDs. Likewise, the Duke 200 retained the old LCD cluster but packed with tons of information such as fuel efficiency, distance to empty, service interval time, average speed, and a lot more. On the other hand, the instrument cluster of the MT15 features a negative LCD display with a blue backlight, which I would say provides significantly better readability than the Duke, but lacks the data that the Duke was able to provide. Now, if we have to discuss the performance, on papers, the Duke 200 definitely have that advantage over the MT15. The extra 45cc difference in engine displacement really is a big factor that plays in this area. Not to mention that the Duke 200 being a double overhead cam. However, even if only a single overhead cam, the MT15 prides itself of a VVA that kicks in at the higher RPM range, something that is missing in the Duke 200. What this would mean is that while the Duke 200 will reach its top speed faster, it will struggle past a certain point, and here is where the MT15 would take the advantage. The MT15 makes for a linear power delivery. In fact, at times, the engine behaves like a bigger, more powerful motor, making you wonder if it's really a 155cc. We have seen quite a number of videos actually where the MT15 takes on and sometimes surpasses the Duke 200 on long stretches of road, even with a big difference in engine size. However, do note that the MT15 thrives in higher RPMs, something that would be hard to maximize on usual city roads. The MT15 feels a lot more comfortable at highway speeds, and if long distance rides are on the horizon, the MT15 makes for a far more sensible choice than KTM for sure. However, one would definitely appreciate the torque down low on the Duke 200, especially in the city traffic where overtaking is at most important. So that being said, it would really be good to know where you would want the bikes to be used for to know which one suits you best. And other things to consider, the exhaust note produced by the MT15 is more grunty and likable to hear. The underbelly exhaust of the Duke 200 is something that is less desirable and something that dilutes the commanding presence of the bike. Both bikes, however, offer similar fuel efficiency figures around 40 km per liter, but the downside here is that the MT15 gets a smaller fuel tank with 10-liter capacity as compared to that capacity in the Duke 200. More mileage for the Duke 200 when touring faraway places in a single gas fill-up. Now, as for the handling and ergonomics, both bikes have an engaging and upright riding triangle. The slightly rear-biased foot pegs and lean-in posture towards the handlebar enable a controlled and involving riding experience for both bikes. However, with a slightly lower seating height and lighter overall weight, the MT15 should be more friendly to a beginner rider, especially those that are height challenge ones. Nevertheless, the softer suspension on the Duke 200 would give the rider a more forgiving ride than the MT15, especially on less than ideal road conditions. It is a bit more comfortable and touring friendly as compared to the supermoto-ish feel in the MT15. Both motorcycles are known to be sharp handlers. The Duke 200 gets a two-piece trellis frame while the MT15 has a delta box frame. While both frames have their own advantages, with the trellis frame offering some flex to provide feedback on the rider, while the delta box is very rigid. Well, I'm not really particularly sure though which frames are better, as it is too technical for me already. However, with the MT15 getting a slightly shorter wheelbase than the Duke 200, it should be more flickable and easier to turn into corners. However, the Duke is also known to be a corner rocket for some obvious reasons. But if I would base it on the short period I have with both bikes, being a novice myself, while I do find the MT more agile than the Duke, I found the Duke to be more stable in handling corners than the MT15. Okay, now comes one important aspect of the discussion, the costs. While both bikes are considered premium bikes in their category, you will definitely pay extra premium in price on the Duke 200 with a rather big difference in purchase price of about 16,000 pesos above the price of an MT15. Maintenance for the Duke 200 will be similar to a maintenance of a Duke 390, while the MT15 will be similar to a Sniper 155. While I choose to not talk about reliability in this discussion, as such would really be dependent on a user's diligence in maintaining their bikes, what we can say is that parts are more readily available for the Japanese MT15 as compared to the European Duke 200. With that being said, which bike is actually better? So here's the verdict. The MT15 is better suited to riders looking for that adrenaline rush on open roads, but mindful of everyday economics in terms of fuel frugality and cost of maintenance. With a more economical option of getting into the big bike niche without the associated heavy cost of having one, the MT15 would definitely make sense as a top choice for interested buyers. Yamaha is the world's top brand in motorcycles for good reasons. On the other hand, the KTM Duke 200 is for those who would like to have a bit more performance with good daily commuting performance. The Duke consistently provides an engaging riding experience and would definitely satisfy your corner cravings like nothing else. What you get for paying the extra premium on the Duke are translated to a very remarkable machine that serves endless miles per liter. However, at the end of the day, always choose the bike that suits your needs. And with that, I guess I'll end my vlog here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and do subscribe to BossTL PH and click that notification bell to be notified of our new uploads. And as I always say, stay awesome, stay safe. See you in my next episode. Bye for now.